Stokastic here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel, and we are talking college football. It's the Week 11 Rundown, Tuesday edition. We have Maction back again, and all the MAC teams are in action this week. That means we've got 3 game slates both today and tomorrow. We'll break down everything you need to know from a betting perspective. But before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you today by DraftKings Sportsbook. We'll be referencing their lines all through the video, but they have a special offer for you guys. We'll talk to you about it a little bit later. And we've got a lot of games, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone. It's time to dive into Week 11. Maction returns, second edition. It's the Tuesday slate, so we've got 3 games, and we're going to kick things off with Eastern Michigan taking on Akron. Akron, they are the 7.5 home underdog here, 7.5 points. Total in the game, 54.5, 55 in some spots. Both these teams are off buys. In preparation for Maction, you'll see kind of split this week. Some of the teams had a bye last week. Some of them played last Tuesday, and Wednesday for that matter. So some on bye, some not. Akron's got 1 lone win, came against St. Francis, but don't sell this team too short. They've actually had like some of the most egregious losses in college football this year, a lot stemming from their own mistakes. But on the other side, Eastern Michigan's been a decent team. They've been very, very up and down. We're talking wins over Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, UMass, Western Michigan, Ball State, but then losses and pretty bad ones to Louisiana, Buffalo, Northern Illinois, and then they just played a close game to Toledo where they lost 24-27. But don't be mistaken, that 3-point loss, the average scoring margin was actually negative 17.5 points. Toledo should have ran them out of the building, but they did not. We'll talk about Toledo a little bit later. But how do these teams actually stack up? Well, you have essentially every single advantage on the Eastern Michigan side. Pass blocking, Eastern Michigan 65, Akron 86. Run blocking, Eastern Michigan 42, Akron 81. Run defense, Eastern Michigan 23, Akron 125. Pass rush, Eastern Michigan 96, Akron 104. And coverage, Eastern Michigan 114, Akron 129. Yes, Akron is outside the top 100 in run defense, pass rush, and coverage. So to me, I think the spread is probably efficient here in this spot. Eastern Michigan just a little bit over a touchdown favorite. I don't want to lay that with the hook. I think that's a little scary against this Akron team who's been efficient, but man, they just have turnovers, shoot themselves in the feet really at every step of the way. But one thing I think we can do here is look towards the total in the game. 55 in some spots, 54.5. I certainly like that. I think I would even play this through like 58, honestly. You've got Eastern Michigan 73rd in pace. Well, okay, that's not great, but they're facing an Akron defense outside the top 100 in everything. Akron's 28th in pace. Like they're an up-tempo, fast team. They're running 79.4 plays per game. They're passing 62% of the time. And again, that exploits Eastern Michigan's biggest weakness on defense. So I think this game could feature some points here. I actually like the over, and I already bet it, and I would continue to do so in this spot. Let's go to our second game. Ohio, Miami, Ohio. This game is a pick'em. Miami, Ohio, the home team. The total is 50 points. Miami, Ohio is off the bye, which I think big factor for some of these MAC games here. Ohio, I think, is going to take some money in the spot. I would anticipate so, at least after their resounding win last week. And they're a team that's actually surprised me a little bit this year with Curtis Work. He's the most efficient quarterback in the entire MAC right now, which is really saying a lot for this team. But on the other side, I think the biggest news with Miami, Ohio is they returned Brett Gabbert. Surprise. He was not expected to return this year. At least some reporting suggested so. But he came back in their most recent game, and he played okay. I'm not going to say he was great by any means, but we actually know what Gabbert is. Avion Smith, the player they use in his stead, is more of just a pure mobile guy. So I think Gabbert offers more to the offense, and I think there's a ceiling here which hasn't necessarily been hit yet. So when I look at the advanced metrics for these two teams, it's not very clear who the number 1 team is. A lot of the advantages are Miami, Ohio's direction, like pass blocking, they're 93rd, Ohio's 114. Run blocking, Miami, Ohio's 57, Ohio's 101. Really, Ohio's played with Curtis Work masking a lot of these inefficiencies. And then on defense, Miami, Ohio 93 in run defense, Ohio 102. Pass rush, Miami, Ohio's 99, Ohio.
Sorry about the Phillies. Mattress Mac, rich again. All right, Stokastic. Here we go. It's your old pal EMac, joined by Anthony Gundacker. Gundacker, man, myth, and legend. Young Dacker, as he's trying out new looks these days. Sorry for the technical difficulties. That was my fault. I'm down to now one functioning AirPod, and it didn't want to pick up the computer. It was working fine until every time producer Mike let me into the room, then it would stop working. So I think I need to buy myself a new one. We'll have to wait for Amazon Prime deals. What do you think about that, Gundacker? Or I'll just win Powerball or Mega Millions tonight and be a billionaire.
You got it kind of foreshadowing some hearing aid problems.
Oh, geez, let's just cut right to the chase here, man.
It kind of looks like a hearing aid that you just have one.
It didn't hurt so much here or so much, but right here.
Oh no!
Boy, we've got one heck of a slate here. For the first time in my memory, every team is playing on the same night. I don't know that the NBA has done that, at least for the last decade, because even when they get to the last day of the season, they usually have a couple teams play before that. Now, the pandemic has mucked with our minds just a little bit, but this is the first time they are playing every team on the slate, tipping off every 15 minutes, or games tipping off every 15 minutes. We've already had wild news today. We'll throw a couple of those items out there, and then we'll get down to brass tacks here. But LeBron James was just ruled out with the sore foot. This was a back-to-back for both Utah and Los Angeles. The Lakers lost to Cleveland yesterday in the afternoon, and then the Jazz beat the Clippers last night in the night game, and now both those teams are flying over to Salt Lake City to play tonight, and the Cavs are playing the Clippers. So it's kind of this rotating hodgepodge here of everything. But we've got key items to pay attention to, and we want to remember about this because no house advantage. And when it locks, it locks. There's no late swaps, there's no changes. But Reggie Jackson, questionable. He only played 20 minutes last night. This is a back-to-back. Unlikely that John Wall plays, but he could tonight. We said LeBron's out, Lonnie Walker's out, Pat Beverly's out. So we're going to want to look at some of our Lakers things here. We'll take a peek at what Anthony Davis is up to. We want to remember that Golden State rested everybody on the 5th game of their road trip. They lost the first 4. Coach Steve Kerr said just whatevs, and they lost the 5th game when he sat Draymond, Thompson, Wiggins, and Curry. They're all available tonight. They're going against Sacramento. That should be a fun one. Ben Simmons back. Air quotes, we think. Obviously no Kyrie Irving for a few more games. And then we had Mitchell Robinson is out. We'll want to look at some Isaiah Hartenstein items there. And oh yeah, Damian Lillard's going to play, but Anthony Simon still may not with the foot issue. So we've got some moving parts here, but not to worry. We've got all sorts of NBA shows coming up after us with the Deeper Dive, Live Before Lock, and then of course Monday Night Football if we didn't need anything else. But we'll get into some prize picks here, or pardon me, some No House Advantage here. Oops, my bad. But No House Advantage does have 2 different formats now. They've got their tournaments tonight where we pick 10 in the NBA. We'll pick 10 questions. We'll go over or under. We'll rank those with confidence points, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. If we get those right, we get the confidence points. That's the score we use to go against our fellow gamers. The other important thing to remember is if you pick somebody who's not playing, like LeBron and the unders, you're not going to get any points at all. Don't get cute. Don't overthink that. The player has to at least be on the court for a registered minute to be there. They also have versus the house contest. Now, these are dynamic lines, just like we would find at sports books. They're all player props. You can build out your cards with 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions. They do pay 20x if you get all 5 right. There is no second place for anybody that gets anything wrong. So if you're not sure, go 2 out of 2. If you're feeling really ballsy, go 5 out of 5 and get rewarded for it. 20x, it's the highest in the industry. All right, Gun, let's talk some of our fun here. We almost had some fun with Donovan Mitchell. For a hot minute, he had a 205 line on his projected points. That's really should be 20.5. But that 200, if that really was out there and they hung that line, we would definitely want to take the under on that. Looking at the side, it is 20.5. We'll get that corrected on our side here. But he is looking at 24.4 points. Starting there, do you want to go with that over, or do we have some more appealing ones you want to look at?
Well, I want whoever is in charge of their decimal placement to be my bank account owner. Yeah, I mean, that's a good spot to look. I think the Cavs, that game being the last game on the slate, you get to sit around all night and wait for that to happen. It is a low implied total, 213.5. I don't think that's a bad line, but it's certainly much more fruitful if we're betting 200.5 under. Him and Garland both missed out on their last game when Kevin Love left the planet. I'm probably going to stay away from that one altogether. I do think one of the benefits we have of a 15-game slate is we're probably not going to feel that uncomfortable about one pick. Usually 1 or 2 picks, you're going to have to, I don't know, but you got to pick 10. Tonight, I think we can have a full sheet of picks that we feel pretty doggone good about, and especially as more news comes out. So looking at our free tool for probability of, we'll start with the overs, right? Jordan Clarkson has a 2.5 assist line. Our projection at Stokastic is 4.65, so that's almost double the line that No House Advantage is started with, and a 90.6% probability of hitting the over. I've got no pushback there. The Lakers without LeBron James and Schroeder, Lonnie Walker, their defense is going to take a huge hit here, and they're going to be leaning on Russell Westbrook a little bit more. So expect, a competitive game down to the wire. If anything, Utah being 6-point favorites here. Plenty of minutes for Jordan Clarkson here to feed guys like Larry Markkinen, Kelly Olynyk, Mike Conley, and fall into 3+ assists. He is averaging over 5 assists on the season. So I really like that line. I think that's a good starting point.
No, I think that's a good one. So for his career, he's averaging 2.6. This year, he's averaging just over 5 assists per game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the roster has changed over dramatically. They're in Utah with Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and Royce O'Neal all out. Of course, Joe Ingles didn't play a lot of last year, but he's no longer there. And they brought in a whole new group of players. So that's a good one. His per 36 is 6.1. So this number feels pretty good. Of course, it may regress just a little bit with Colin Sexton seeing increased minutes, etc. But 2.5, come on, that seems pretty reasonable in what should be an up-tempo game. So I do like that one. We like to look for a little context here, right? Because every now and then something could change, or there could be something different, etc. So that's always key for us to look at these. Let's look at some of these other. Let me go see how I can sort this. I want to go look at some of the other games, the other Lakers games. So if we go over to the No House Advantage site, you can filter by game and see all the different props. So obviously we said LeBron is out, so we don't want any part of that. However, Anthony Davis starts to look real good. He's already listed as healthy. Of course, that could change in game. We've seen that happen more than once, but I like his PRA. Now, currently we have him for 38.2. He is looking at No House Advantage for 36.5. So that's points, rebounds, plus assists. So for something like that, you could go just points. We have a little bit better chance for him to make it on points alone. He has a 21.5. We've got him projected for 20.8. I like having a little bit of additional wiggle room there just to get some addition or some other categories where he could help out, because he could cruise into 12, 15 rebounds. He could pick up 6 assists tonight, in addition to the scoring. So that's one where I'd like to branch out just a little bit, even though our projections aren't quite there. That's more of a feel thing. If we're going purely off the numbers, then I think the 70% chance of him getting more than 21.5 points would be the way to go. I'd be looking for a little something a little more static. Those are the main folks in that game. We really only have, I guess, it's all Utah. Lauri Markkanen's in there, Colin Sexton, etc. Let's look at Sexton. Sexton's numbers are probably appropriate. Back-to-back for him. Remember, he missed most of last year with the knee injury. They've been bringing him in off the bench, slowly easing him into things. I suspect he'll play tonight, but we could see just maybe 20 minutes. So that's probably a stay away. What else is standing out for you as you look at the free tools here? Let me drop the link to those in chat for you guys.
No, I'm in agreement with your Anthony Davis call. Like you said, these lines are static. When they get posted, and news doesn't shift lines. They're not live like everywhere else that we deal with. Since the beginning of last year, Anthony Davis and Westbrook on the court, LeBron James off the court. Anthony Davis leads the Lakers at a 29.5% usage rate. And that's really doggone good. And the Utah Jazz so far this season, allowing the most points in the paint in the entire league at 57.4 points in the paint allowed per game. So that's really good for Anthony Davis. So I would probably agree with you on the points there. I'm gonna like him for DFS because I also think he has a lot of stock upside. But yeah, our point projection is almost 25. Their line's 21.5. I think that's a really strong number, especially with a positive game script, putting the Lakers playing from behind.
Alrighty, and I got too many windows open here. Let's get these back under control so I can look at the right stuff. Okay. Oh, that's a long time movie. That was well before you were born. The Right Stuff, classic. Thomas Wolfe wrote the book. Cade Cunningham, kind of interesting. 5.5 assists for his line, 5.5 rebounds for his line. You can go over with 7 assists that we're projecting, or the 7 rebounds. I would probably lean towards the assists. What happens when you have 2 tanking teams play each other? What's going to happen here, and how good does SGA look in the DFS world for this putrid Detroit defense?
Really good. The man likes to start games with 30 points, it seems like. Yeah, I don't know. They start scoring in each other's baskets and maybe the points start going backwards. I don't know what the GMs are rooting for here. But Cade, yeah, the matchup should be a low on defense. If I had to lean towards one of these top end props that we have probability wise, I'd probably lean towards the assist myself. This season, Cade Cunningham has a 28.6% assist rate. That's highest on the team easily. And versus his per game average, he is averaging he's averaging 6.3 assists per game. So that gives us some wiggle room here in what should be one of the rare competitive games that we could project both teams in all year, especially at a within 2 spread. So yeah, if this game's going to get full minutes from your starters, I think Cade Cunningham assist line is the line I would take there. We have him at 707. The line's 5.5. That's an 80.3% probability of hitting the over, which is top 10 on the over odds. So I'm with you on that one.
All right. I do give us a like here. I see we have 100 people watching. We would appreciate this. Get us up to about 25. That'll feel good on a Monday afternoon here, as we're all avoiding what we probably should really be doing, called work. But hey, here I am. I'm in a meeting. So sorry, boss. I'll have to get back to you after 4:00 because I'm busy right now. But definitely hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We just hit 82,600 this weekend. So we're almost at 83,000. That'll be a lot of fun when we reach that milestone. But just a reminder here, we are brought to you by No House Advantage. You just got to watch the NFL show prior to us. They do have single game contests for tonight's NFL. You will also get a full slate of NBA with 15 games tonight, the largest slate we can possibly have in the league. You can play 2 different formats over there at No House Advantage. You can test your skills against the house, get up to 20 times your fee if you go 5 for 5, hitting all your picks. They have sports, cross-sport wagers, etc., NFL, NBA, PGA, MMA, NASCAR. They've got college football, on Saturdays. We also have some college basketball starting up here, so I suspect No House Advantage will be dabbling in that world as well. Their whole marketing plan here is overlay. So they actually have an NFL lineup and an NBA lineup generator over there. We've got the free projections for you here. You can build lineups with their lineup generator and export them right into the contest. They want you to come over, try out their site, get in on some of the overlay. It's a lot of fun there. Come in through the link below us here in the description. When you sign up, you'll have the opportunity to get up to a $50 deposit match with your first deposit. All right, nobody likes unders, Gun, but No House Advantage does have some unders that we probably should be taking advantage of here. What say you on some of the unders? Obviously, we can't do the Donovan Mitchell one. That still makes me chuckle just a skosh. How about Colin Sexton, a 30 PRA? We've got him for 21.8. It's a back-to-back as long as he's going to play, and we haven't heard anything saying he's not. This is, as you mentioned, one of the later games of the night. Looking at the injury report, does he even have a mention next to his name? He does not.
He's played a back-to-back earlier this season.
I would think 25 minutes. I don't see him getting up to 30. We've seen him get close to 30 minutes now. I don't think he'll do that, but I think he's going to play tonight. They haven't mentioned anything on it. It's about time to test that out. 30 PRA is pretty damn high, though.
Yeah, I'd be more concerned about Mike Conley. And then that would make me concerned about this prop, because Sexton and Conley have played a back-to-back, but then Conley sat one, I believe, and Sexton was available. So that's what makes me like Clarkson a little bit more. And nothing's out there, just pure us guesstimating, but Conley has a big track record of missing back-to-backs in the last year or two. And if that happened and Sexton was projected in, I do think our line would move a little bit. So I don't want to get too married to an under on Sexton just yet.
So that seems reasonable. I'm going to go look at some of his game logs here. So Sexton has, let's find the back-to-back. So he did play a back-to-back. He played 60 minutes on the first, and then the second leg, he played 31 minutes, right? That is his high watermark for minutes. In the next 4 games, he played 24, almost 31, 28 and a half, 27 yesterday. This is a 3 and 4. I do agree that we could very well see Conley sit in this one. He did sit on the one end of every back-to-back last year. But you are right. He ran the okie doke on us and did play one earlier this year. Looking at the points, rebounds, and assists, I'm just eyeballing it here. Looks like he gets to the mid to upper 20s. He hasn't crested over 30 yet. This would be Sexton. So we'd be looking at his best game of the year in order to make this mark. But this is why we like to talk through these things. This seems good now. But you're right, Conley out, that could tweak things a little bit. I'd still lean towards them not playing him more than 25 to 27 minutes tonight. Sexton, that is. But he could be really efficient in those, and we already know the Lakers don't play any defense at all. All right, what else is what's that with this John Collins number? Boy, our projections, not big fans of his this year.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of his unders here, that because we do have massive under probabilities. The PRA is interesting, and then the 3-pointers made was interesting. He usually chucks a couple of threes a game, doesn't hit at a high clip, hasn't hit more than 2 threes in a game since Orlando on October 21st. The first, and then Houston, where he hit both of his 2s. But generally speaking, his shot volume from behind the arc is very low, and overall his shot volume is low anyway. 10 or less shots is not an unlikely or an outlandish range of outcomes for him. So I'm a little bit interested in that. But I think I would lean the PRA here. The Bucks do have this knack for funneling the offense to chucking threes, right? They are perennially one of the best points in the paint defenders, but also give up a lot of threes because of just how they're pushing you out. So I think that could be a little trappy line at 1.5, but I do think the PRA is a little bit more intriguing here. So I want to trust in the projections, and I'll take the bigger landing spot on the 30.5 PRA, which we have them projected at under 24. And that's given us a 90.7% probability of hitting the under, which is top 5 on our board. So that's where I'm at on Collins.
So the rebounds have been there for him. He's got double-digit rebounds in all but 3 games. The points have really fallen off the shelf. He started out amazing, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 23 points, 8 rebounds. Third game, 10 and 10, so he's still got a double-double. Then 19 and 11, still a double-double. Then 4 and 10, 4 and 5, 12 and 12, 12 and 13, 7 and 5. The points are painful. We do know that Trae Young willing to take a ton of shots. DeJounte Murray is the wild card, the new X factor here. He's taken with Bogdan Bogdanovic out and Kevin Huerter now in Sacramento. Doesn't matter because DeJounte Murray's getting the rest of that offense there. None of this is going to Capella or John Collins. So I'm okay with the under there. And then his minutes are all over the place. Let's see where his foul trouble. One game where he got into where he fouled out. The rest of the games he really has 3 fouls in most of them, and he's barely playing 30 minutes. So I know we don't like unders, but this feels pretty good.
Yeah, Chris in our live YouTube chat says he's got Collins PRA line at 20.5 on his sports book that he's looking at. So we're getting a 10-point cushion versus a competitive sports book in terms of that PRA line.
I want to bet, now that I'm looking, I want to bet the 20.5 maybe under here. Feels like we could go that route. Let's see. We guys got any player? We'll slide on over there to the player props so we can help out Josh with this one. I see Tyler's in chat is asking Jokic 51.5 PRA under. I don't usually like to mess with Jokic because he can contribute in so many facets of the game. Yes, it is absolutely different now that he's got a healthy Michael Porter Jr. with him and Jamal Murray playing next to him, etc. But the guy can put up a triple double and just really hurt us. Because he could get the assists, he could get the rebounds, and then he only gets like 14 or 15 points, but he's putting up double digits the other one. This is a little too dicey. I don't like to go against that one. Any thoughts on that one that you have?
Nah, I generally stay away from superstar studs when I'm prop betting, unless it's an obvious spot that we have to take advantage of. Jokic has certainly had a situation this season where with Michael Porter Jr. back, with Monte Morris taking a step forward, Jamal Murray taking a step forward in his recovery, where Jokic sometimes doesn't have to do as much. So I would probably lean the under if I had to choose. But that's a guy I just wouldn't want to sweat, so probably wouldn't make my ticket on a 15-game slate.
All right, we'll slide over here to the versus the house. Then we'll wrap up with a couple back in the contest here because that's where all the overlay is going to be. So the versus the house. This is, you don't have sports wagering in your state. You can get pretty darn close to it here. Essentially, you're doing parlays with player props. So it's got a little bit of a fantasy twist to it. These are updated lines. They will change with news. So remember, the other ones, they're static lines. The reason for that, they're like salaries, right? They can't, you don't move around salaries once you've posted the contest. They don't move around those lines once you've posted those contests. We all have the same opportunity to choose from the same options here. These as actual active lines, they actually are relatively sharp. I do want to point that out. There's some of the other sites give you a little more wiggle room. That's sort of their version of overlay. No House Advantage already giving you a boatload of overlay in these other contests. So they're like, no, we're going to dial this stuff in. But you can always find some interesting stuff. So right now they've got a handful of hockey shot on goal props up there. That's something I do like to look at from time to time. They also have the NFL for the showdown slate tonight. Those are going to be some interesting ones here. I think a good one to go is the Lamar Jackson over 59.5 rushing yards. Pretty much everybody's hurt now for Baltimore. I think that's one to look for there. He has had, I want to say 49 or more in every game this year, and he has 200-yard games. We know it's going to happen with Lamar. I think that's a reasonable enough number to attack. The 64 rushing yards, not so much for me with Kamara. I think we're going to want to see Baltimore just got, I'm forgetting, Roquan Smith, I think it was his name, the Chicago Bears linebacker, right? He's now there, so their run defense may get a little bit better. I'd rather look towards the passing game there. Maybe a Chris Olave over on the 62.5 receiving yards, because we're missing a lot of Saints skill players. And then back to the NBA. This is the Gundacker special here. We've got up at the tippy top here, we have a few points opportunities here for the Washington Wizards going against Charlotte. No Bradley Beal tonight, still in the health and safety protocol. The Wizards disappointed across the board last night, but you do get 22.5 points there for Kristaps Porzingis, 18.5 for Kuzma, 12.5 for Morris. Those would be ones I'd slightly shade towards the over. I'd probably go a little bit on the over for SGA at 28.5 for points. So I feel a little bit better about some of those. I'm just scrolling up and down here, see if there's. These are all pretty. They're all pretty sharp lines here. It makes it kind of tough to call out anything. Maybe John Morant 29.5 points. That means he's got to get 30. It's almost worth looking at the under against Boston tonight.
Yeah, a tough matchup against that Celtics defense. Marcus Smart and the Derek White in the blender, and Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane are there to kind of spread out some of the scoring responsibilities. So yeah, that would be a line if I wanted to touch it, it would be the under.
All right. So again, these are just some fun ways to take a look at different ways you can get your sports wagering itch via a fantasy sports website. So cruising back to the pick'em here. I know we got going a little late, so we'll just throw out a couple more picks here. Holy cow, God, I think we have a new record, 178 concurrent for this show. We're only a few weeks in, but thank you everybody for tuning in. That's a nice little number here. You know, they want to escape work with us too. This is a lot of fun. Let's hit that like button. Let's get us up to 50. We're up to 183 people watching. Let's get us up to 50 likes. When Terry comes back, when you do the show with Terry on Thursday, you can let him know he's got his work cut out for him. All righty. So anything else that's popping for you, you go ahead and pick one or two here. I'm going to drop the link into chat too. By the way, we've built optimal lineups for you. You don't want to sort through all of the free projections. Well, here's about 200, 300 optimal lineups we've created in descending order of the best probability. We've done the heavy lifting for you at Stokastic here. And this is something that No House Advantage wants us to do. Maybe you don't want to pick the first one, or maybe you pick the first one and flip a couple, and then you'll have a semi-unique lineup from other people. You can check that out. What do you have as we're wrapping this up, Gun?
Let's go one more. Take advantage of somebody because somebody's out. Karl-Anthony Towns, how about 1.5 3-pointers made? We've seen his usage and points per minute spike up, and especially now without Gobert, he's got a little bit more court time in the front court for the T-Wolves. The 1.5 line I like. He has chucked 6 or more 3-point attempts in every game since October 28th. He's cleared this 1.5 line in all but 2 of his last 10 games. I think the shot volume will be there, and this game is projected to be close with a 3-point spread and a 235.5 point total. That's crazy.
It's amazing what happens when you don't have Rudy Gobert sticking around. Do we have any lines, or does I closed the wrong tab. Does No House Advantage have any Kyle Anderson? No, they don't. Anderson's slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, someone you can look to in the DFS world. He did get the start in the last game when Gobert was out. They moved, obviously, Towns back to center, and then you get Kyle Anderson, who can float around and kind of be the glue guy, do a little bit of scoring from the wing. He can pick up defend multiple positions on the front court or the back court, and then he can also do a little bit of secondary facilitating. So that is a good skill set to be able to bring back in. Let's see. Let's give him one more here, and then we'll slide on out of here. How are you feeling about Kevin Durant? A little bit of a slow. We said slow-mo. This is as slow as molasses game here. You've got Dallas and Brooklyn, 2 of the somehow slowest teams in the league. You've got, let's see, Durant with an 8.5 rebound line. We have him for 6.6. Do you want to tempt this one? He has to get 9 for us to lose if we select the under. How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, because of the pace, I'd probably be more inclined to go the under, and then the potential of Ben Simmons playing. And Ben Simmons, I wish they had something for him because I'd probably slam something on his assists if he did play. But if you put Ben Simmons out there and Nick Claxton, there's some really good rebounders. And for a guy like Durant in a game pace this low, he's going to have to really be focused on scoring. So I would probably lean the under there.
All right. You know what? We're over 200 concurrent viewers, Gun. How the heck is this happening? We've got lightning in a bottle. We better give the people what they want. We're going to give them one more pick before we get on out of here, because goodness gracious, 200 people. That was unexpected. So let's look at Houston. So there's a chance Kevin Porter Jr. does not play tonight. He was downgraded midday with an illness. We'll have to see. If he's out, we should definitely start to consider somebody like Jalen Green, points, rebounds, and assists, or even Jalen Green. Actually, he's decent on most of his numbers. So if we're going to like the over on PRA, a lot of times you want to go look at the individual ones because there could be something that stands out as a significantly better option. So right now we have him listed as the unders. You're going to want to be careful if you start to put these in. If Porter Jr. is out, this is a stay away. If Porter Jr. is going to play, and we have to know at the 7 o'clock clock because we can't make changes here, but that's one that may look a little better than it would if he was ruled out. All of a sudden we could get in trouble. One final one from you, Gun, and then we'll roll.
So you're saying if KPJ is out,
if KPJ is out, stay away. If KPJ is in, we want the unders on these.
Oh, okay. I thought we were leaning.
Sorry, I have poorly worded that one.
I thought we were going after some Jalen Green overs. I was like, okay, I'll slide him.
Well,
for that.
they would almost become overs if Porter Jr. is out. How are you feeling about Joel Embiid? 49 PRA. We'll finish on this one. Missed the better part of a week with an illness. He's not in the best shape. Being out ill is probably not helping that. We have him projected for a 41.3 points, rebounds, and assists. 82% chance he falls under that.
That's a big probability.
It's a big number. He's going against Phoenix. Gonna have to battle DeAndre Ayton. He's back. Phoenix will be without Cam Johnson. That's not going to impact Joel Embiid. Cam Johnson, torn MCL, gonna need surgery.
Yeah, I would be somewhat uncomfortable because of James Harden's absence, and that likely makes Embiid the highest usage guy. But like you said, him perhaps not being 100% and the matchup maybe a little bit more tougher. Yeah, I would probably lean in agreement with with that massive probability number. But I wouldn't have the warm and fuzzies just because of the obvious usage pickup that needs to be there for him.
All right. Well, I think you're soft pedaling that answer. You don't want to say things too bad because, Mike's sitting there in all of his Philly gear with all of his other Philly gear around him there. Producer Mike, obviously the clear Phillies fan. Well, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you. 206 people now. This is just crazy. This is fantastic. You're gonna get us here Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays for the No House Advantage NBA. We might even have to feather in another show or two if we get this kind of participation. We do appreciate that. Hit that like button on the way out. Remember, you can go through the link below us here to sign up for No House Advantage. Get a $50 deposit bonus with your first deposit. You put in 20, they'll give you 20. You put in 50, they'll give you 50. You put in 100. They're going to give you 50 because it's a $50 deposit match. But with that, you can follow Gundacker on Twitter at Gundacker. I am at EMac DFS, and it is Stokastic _ CON. With that, gamers, good luck.